Today's episode is brought to you in part by Arthro-D, America's top-selling all-natural joint health supplement. Arthro-D's proprietary formula is like no other on the market, and with millions of bottles sold, it is helping people get out of pain and get back to living. If you suffer with joint pain or arthritis and you've tried other products, give Arthro-D a shot and try it risk-free. Visit www.arthrodcom.com/Alden for a special discount. That's www.arthrodcom.com/Alden. All right, folks. Well, I always say that I'm not going to be excited. I don't know why I started the show saying I'm not going to be excited. My name is Michael Alden. We are here in Blue Vase Studios. This is the Alden Report. Folks, my next guest, his name is Grant Cardone. He's written several books. He's a New York Times best-selling author. He's a TV personality. He is, my phone is ringing. He is a father. He's a husband. He's one of these guys really that I kind of look up to. I've been on his program as well. He's really, what I like about Grant Cardone is he's a real guy doing real things, teaching people real concepts on how to grow professionally. Folks, if you want to learn from a guy that's not only done it, but is continuing to do it, you're not going to want to miss this next half an hour. Grant, thanks for being my guest.
Hey, Michael, great to be here, man. Appreciate you thinking enough of me to have me on your show.
So we like to ask everybody the same list of the same questions. Did you get the questions?
No, I don't have the questions.
You don't need them. Doesn't matter. So I'm
going to tell the truth, so I really don't need a lot of preparation. All I can do is tell you what I've done. I don't teach anybody how to do anything I hadn't done myself, so that's all I know how to do.
All right, I like that. So again, but we do ask the same 10 questions to everybody, and then we'll most likely go off script anyway. So
hopefully I have the best 10 answers.
I think you probably will. I don't know. Ryan Blair, the guy.
I don't want to compete with your barber, though, dude. That guy can lower ears. I can't do that.
Ryan Blair, who did endorse your book, he had some pretty good answers. So we'll see. I'll let you know how.
Ryan's awesome. Ryan's a beast, man.
All right. First question I love to ask, especially guys like you that have you really, kind of achieved the level of success that most people can't even begin to just fathom. So, Grant, how do you define success?
Well, that's interesting. I think everybody has a little bit different definition. I don't define it by success equals some number or a plane or a house or a car or even happiness. I know a lot of people are like, hey, success is just being happy. For me, success is continuing to fulfill my potential. So it's always something I'm looking toward, not something I've achieved. I've done a lot of things that my family generationally would say, oh my God, man, you've done more than, 200 years of Cardones. But to me, that's not what I'm looking at. I'm looking at what can I do next? Not the fight I won, but what can I do? And maybe I'm done fighting. At some point, every fighter's like, hey, I can't fight anymore. Mayweather's going to retire at some point for sure, permanently. What are you going to do the next thing, to stay excited about your life? So for me, it's about making sure my marriage is working, making sure the plane is operating. Right now, we're gutting our entire plane. So for me to buy the plane was one thing I did a year and a half ago. Now we're gutting it, refurbing it. How do I grow my business? How do I continue to grow my brand? How do I go from America to China to Taipei to South America? How do I do the next thing? Not have kids, but now that my kids are 6 and 4, how do I operate when they're 8 and 10 and again 12 and 16? Success for me is reaching my potential, fulfilling that potential, and it's always something in the future.
I like that answer, and I just want to ask you this question too, because we love to talk to entrepreneurs like yourself, and again, Grant is you're really playing at a level that I didn't say at the beginning, but you're playing at a level that I want to get to very, very soon. So I want to helicopter first, but we'll get into that next. So it seems like and I feel the same way. Is are you ever able to just decompress and like go on vacation, or is it always about thinking about the next thing?
Well, look, even when I go on vacation, I'm thinking about the next thing.
Right.
Okay. So like I just took my first vacation in 12 years, and we spent 2 weeks in St. Bart's, and I was decompressed the whole time. Look, I'm decompressed in my office. I'm decompressed right now. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. You guys out there that are like, oh my God, man, when do I just get to kick back? If that's your thought, you're not doing the right thing right now.
Right.
You're not playing the right game, okay? The guys that are playing at the upper levels do not. And they all say this. All of them have this one thing. It doesn't feel like work to me.
Right.
So So I'm releasing a book right now called Be Obsessed or Be Obsessed or Be Released. Be Obsessed or Be Average.
I have it right here.
Be released from being average. And we haven't even dropped the book yet. It's #1 in motivation, the motivation category, #1 in business, #1 in personal finance, and #1 in entrepreneurship at Amazon. And this book is about, look, when you're totally obsessed, I mean, completely fanatically obsessed, like freaking addicted, neurotic, nutsoid, and you tie that into your purpose, you're not going to be tired. You're not going to be burnt out. You're not going to be doing drugs. You're not going to be chasing women, particularly if you're married. Okay, you're going to be in this zone, man, that fulfills you. You know, if you look at, I went and saw Kanye West the other night in Miami, you know, and I wondered, you know, after he did 25,000 people in a stadium and everybody loved him and everything, I wondered what his life was like at midnight. Was he still happy about what he did? Or was he having to, you know, smoke weed and do drugs and do women and do the whole thing to get the sensation of what he had done just 25 minutes before? See, for me, you know, I want to keep doing, you know, I want to keep feeling good about what I'm doing so I'm not destroying myself
right
after that moment. So the decompressing thing, I don't think you need to decompress if you're really on purpose, your purpose as to what you should be doing. You'll want to do more of it and not just kick.
Makes a lot of sense. Grant, you know, I've read your books. I'm right now. I was fortunate to receive an advanced reader's copy of Be Obsessed or Be Average. You have an amazing you know, history. You really, I mean, you talk about it. That's what I love, your candor. You've hit rock bottom before, but and now you're, you know, where you are today. Like you said, you have your own jet, which I think you have right there in your set, which is awesome.
Yeah.
As far as I mean, again, I know your history. So for some people, for those people that don't know it, what has been your biggest professional obstacle and how did you overcome it?
Well, my biggest professional obstacle was actually a personal obstacle. It was, and it wasn't one. It was like my upbringing. I was brought up middle class. You know, this was a problem. Okay, my biggest professional business problem has been never being able to think big enough.
Sure.
I know a lot of people have talked about this, but this problem is way bigger than anybody thinks it is.
Sure.
You know, and it's not just about the law of attraction, because the law of attraction without the law of action doesn't mean anything. Like you can only think as big as you can think. And most people, unfortunately, are thinking based on their upbringing. I was brought up middle class. I wasn't brought up like, you know, I think there's a rap song talks about we started at the bottom, now we're here. You know, I didn't start at the bottom, dude. I started in the middle and went to the bottom.
Right.
So you know, when you have food and you have a roof over your head and you have parents that love you and you go backwards from that, man, it's hard to get back up, okay? And then where you're looking to get to is, I want to get back to where I had a roof and I had food and I had education. Sure. Well, that's the trap. You know, that's the trap. So the biggest trap for me has been like being satisfied, thinking little, you know, flying first class on award points. I was trapped in that for 20 years. Oh, man, I'm a big shot, man. American upgraded me. Dude, if that's the way you're thinking, you are a slave to society.
I like it. So is the moral of this story really to think bigger? Is that
well,
really
yeah, but you got to get around people that are like flying private. Okay, now I know some of your audience is going to be like, I don't need all that. See, right there, that's already somebody else has convinced you don't need all that. How do you know you don't need it all?
Right.
Okay, until you crawl in one of those time machines, and now you get to control where you go, when you go, how long you stay, who you see. Until you crawl in a time machine, don't say you don't need it, because you don't even know. How would you know? You know, that's called a closed mind. I don't need to be rich. Well, you ain't rich, so don't make a decision on it. see, this is this thinking. It's not just about think bigger, limited thinking, change your paradigm. Look, you can only think as big as you can think.
Right.
And that's why it's so important for people to be listening to people like you, Michael, like because you're giving access to a different think.
Yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense. Folks, we are on with Grant Cardone. He's a New York Times best-selling author. He's a classic entrepreneur. He's a real estate mogul. We're here talking to him about business. We're here talking about success. His latest book, Be Obsessed or Be Average. It's available everywhere. It's available on Amazon. It's available on Barnes & Noble. It's available on Books A Million, Hudson News. It's the #1 book. It hasn't even been released yet. I tell you, I'm glad my book wasn't released at the same exact time, because I would have been right at the bottom. But folks, if you'd like some more information about Grant Cardone, you can just go to grantcardone.com, or just you can just Google him. His book, again, I have it here in the studio, Be Obsessed or Be Average. It's a great book. I haven't read the whole thing, but I've skimmed a lot of it. And one of the things about Grant, again, I've mentioned it earlier, is he's a real guy. He's giving you real stuff and real applications that anybody can do, and that's really why I like Grant. Grant, again, I think I stole this question from you, because you asked me this question when I was in your studio, but I'm just going to ask it anyway. And I think I know the answer, but I don't know that other people do. Is traditional education important for business success?
Well, I mean, I need to, no. No, it means nothing, man. It means nothing. Like my wife said to me the other day, I got kids that are just starting school. I mean, my 5-year-old, I guess she's 5. She just turned 5. She's been in school since she was 2. She's been learning Chinese, man, since she was 2 years old. Okay. My 7-year-old now she's been learning Chinese since she's learned Spanish, English, and Chinese, and she's 6. Okay. So I don't care if they can read or write, frankly. I don't care if they ever know history. Math, I don't teach them how to add and subtract. I teach the kids how to multiply. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You need to know how to multiply, man. It's like 1 million, 2 million, 20 million. I'm so good at math, right? So if I can teach them the first 100 numbers, I said, look, if I teach you how to count to 100, then you skip to 1 million. And people, again, the parents have to get involved with the kids. But look, if the parents think the geography is that important, hey, what would be more important? For my kids to actually visit every state, every city, and travel around the world, or know where it's at on a map? How about this? How about I put them in my plane, we fly them down to Bogota, Colombia, and I show them that, hey, you know what? They're not dealing cocaine. Cocaine is not the #1 trade in Bogota, as opposed to what you hear either at school or in the news. Put them on the plane, introduce them to generals down there, give them a life experience. And so I spent 17 years in schools. There's $1.3 trillion worth of debt at the college level. The only reason to go to college today is to meet the right people.
Right.
Like, I want to meet the Bushes. I want to meet the Obama's kids. If I'm sending my kids to school, man, I just want them to meet the Trumps and all the players.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I think that's the education people need to be looking for today. We're in a different age, a different time. You can get education a completely different way. Keep the kids away from those games.
Sure.
Keep them away from TV, and keep them away from those little communists at school.
Well, speaking of communism, so your kids are learning Chinese?
Yeah.
Why Chinese?
Because, man, their bankers are going to be Chinese.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Maybe I should. I have a 10-year-old. I should probably pivot. She's learning Spanish. I should have her learn Chinese.
She can learn both of them, man. I remember when I dropped my kids into Spanish, and I told the lady, I said, look, I'm paying you. Do not speak English to them. Complete Spanish. There was a Spanish class. I said, all Spanish, one day, all day, do not talk English. Don't say hello, goodbye, love you, nothing. Okay, everything's got to be Spanish. Don't you think that's a little? Hey, look, we dropped them into English when they were born. Okay, it was complete immersion.
Right.
We didn't feel sorry for them. Immerse them completely. People need to swim in the Kool-Aid, not drink it, Michael.
I love it. Now again, you are just one of the best marketers I've ever seen as far as building your brand. Again, I skimmed over Be Obsessed or Be Average. I know you talked about. You said you want 4 billion people to know you. You want to run for president in 2020. In your business, for what you do and I want to kind of just to dial down. I know you're in a lot of businesses, but I want to say in the business of Grant Cardone and building your brand, what is the most effective form of marketing for you?
Well, I'll give you an example. It's a great question, okay? Like, we're releasing the book right now, okay? So Sherry, the COO of the company, says, hey, I can get you at Barnes & Noble in Los Angeles at the big mall there. And I'm like, Sherry, no, I'm not doing that, dude, okay? Okay, what can they have there? 200 people,
Right.
maybe 300. Okay, I mean the reality is the only way to sell books today, you have to be either on TV. You really got to be on TV every day. All the bestsellers are probably on TV every day.
Right.
So I said, me going to a mall somewhere in California to talk to 200 people that'll probably only be like 30 or 40. When I can talk to Michael today, okay, when I can go on a Facebook stream. Last night I did a Facebook stream on this book, Be Obsessed or Be Average. There was 40,000 people live on the stream at a cost of zero from all over the world.
It's amazing.
And so traditional marketing, it's over. Nobody should be advertising before they brand. Okay, you should build your brand before you ever spend a penny in advertising. Okay, me spending, I don't know what I'll spend. You know, I spent a lot of money to buy this thing. Me putting 10x on my tail is worth more to me than running an ad on Facebook.
Right.
If nobody knows me, it doesn't matter. Okay. The only reason to run an ad over and over and over on Facebook or on TV or on Sirius Radio is so that people can get familiar with who you are. By the way, when they hit the name, when they become interested in Grant Cardone, the next thing they do is they go Google the name to find out, well, who is this dude? A lot of your audience is going to do that today.
Right.
That's never heard of me. Who is this cat? They're not going to go straight from this show to buy the book. They're going to probably go from your podcast to Google my name,
Right.
and then hopefully back to Amazon to buy the book or Barnes or wherever. Most of them are just going to forget about it because they're being hit with some other trending content, some other garbage. Brad and Angelina got divorced, and billions of people yesterday became consumed for the last 24 hours with somebody else's divorce when their marriage is suffering. So you got to think different today. You are competing with every bit of news in the world.
Sure.
And so when I think about, I know there's a long answer because it's a big, big question, right? But when you think about when I'm dropping a book right now, I know that Trump and Hillary are going to trump me. Okay, because Trump can come out and say something crazy today, and dude, it's going to cost me. So I got to ride the wave of Trump, Hillary, Kanye in town, Brad and Angelina getting divorced. So all day, if you watch my Twitter feed, dude, you watch me do some fascinating stuff with Twitter. So where I'm actually riding trends, things that are moving. Like this morning, it was Big Up. Okay, the guy that did Big Up. I love my haters. Sean. He died. Well, you see, that was a trending thing I did this morning. Okay, I'd actually tweeted about that. So you got to think outside the box, okay? And for those of you running companies, if you don't understand how these things are doing, don't try to hire somebody to do it for you because you need to understand what's going on. This is a big change. It is entrepreneurship at its core, and everybody in the game of being entrepreneurs needs to understand this firsthand.
It's interesting. I want to maybe just pivot because we're talking about the book again. We're here with Grant Cardone talking about his latest book, Be Obsessed or Be Average. He's written several books, New York Times bestseller. Again, I love the content because it's real stuff. So let me just ask you. I mean, I just released my book, and I got to be honest, I missed the New York Times, and I did everything I possibly could, and there's a whole host of reasons why. And I actually feel good because we put our best effort in. So let's talk about advertising books because it is different. I mean, I own a marketing company, and we did a lot of stuff for the book. What are you doing right now other than getting on podcasts, in Twitter and Instagram? What are you doing to get the book out there?
Well, for instance, okay, I'll give you a great example. Okay, most people think that 5 years ago people were saying, well, Grant Cardone promotes too much. Every time I heard that, all I did was double the promotion.
Promote more.
So if somebody said, hey, you're hitting the list too much, okay, or you hit me, or you're emailing me too much and get me off your list, all I did was double up and hit it some more.
I love it.
Now, if people unsubscribe, I actually look for people to unsubscribe from me. I actually think that that's a good thing. Because if you're going to unsubscribe from me, you're never going to buy from me. Or maybe later, maybe you come back later after I hit it big time. So people that were telling me wrong before I had the jet, before I had $500 million worth of real estate, before anybody knew my name, okay, remember, you got to hate on me at some point, okay, if you're in disagreement with how much I do or how I do it, at least you know my name.
Right.
So last week we marketed for 10 days a program called Mastering Objections. We hammered. We're waiting for substantiation of this, but we think we had the most paid webinar. People actually, we monetized this live seminar. It was a 5-hour seminar. I promised 2 hours. And we think there's a possibility that we had the highest number of people ever in history pay for a live webcast.
Wow.
Now that was all the way through Sunday. Okay. Monday morning, as soon as that was over, now just imagine, and you probably got a bunch of my promotion. For 10 days, we marketed this one program called Mastering Objections. And we hammered, dude. I'm talking 15 and 20 posts a day. Sunday, at midnight, Sunday night, Monday rolls over, and we went into a full release of this book. We didn't even breathe for a second, okay? Now, one of the things we did, Michael, to release the book is I basically came on and said, hey, thank you for buying my book. Thank you, all of you. Thousands, tens of thousands of people have already bought my book, pre-ordered it. For those of you who pre-ordered my book, I'm going to give you a 13-week coaching session with me. Every week for 13 weeks, I'm going to go over each chapter in the book for everyone that has already purchased my book and sends me a receipt to obsessed@grantcardone.com. Well, boom, that's been our new promo. We've been on it for 3 days. We've been basically thanking people for pre-ordering the book.
Right.
And with that pre-order, this has never been done before, we're going to give a 13-week mastermind. So when you say you did everything to make the New York Times bestseller list, bro, you didn't. No offense.
No,
but
listen,
you did,
I agree. You know what? I feel like, I'll tell you this, I feel like I did everything within my power with what we had at the time.
Yeah.
And I woke up on Saturday morning pretty much knowing that we didn't hit the list. And I got to be honest. I mean, I was somewhat disappointed, but I felt good because, it's my second book. I think, is this at least your fifth, right?
This is my seventh book.
Your seventh book. So, I'm going to get there. I have the third one already written. We're going to get there. We're going to get there.
Dude, let me tell you, my first book, we sold door to door.
I love it.
Okay. We sold door to door. Now, that's when you freaking,
I saw a great video with you on your first book, and you were talking about a guy that maybe sent it back to you, and he edited it, and he had all these comments on it, and you just kept saying, yeah, okay, all right, great, and then you held it up. He says, you see this book? I sold 40,000 copies of this book. So
the guy kept telling me, man, you got misspelled words everywhere, and I'm like, really? How many, man? Well, a couple hundred I counted. I'm like, great, man, great. What else is wrong with the book? You know? Oh, you got run-on sentences. You got too many exclamations. Yeah. Dude, how many books have you written? None. I said, bro, it's a best-selling book, son. It ain't a best-written.
Right, yeah.
They don't have a best-written category anywhere for books.
Right, yeah. I mean, I tell people, like, with this book that I wrote, others, it's, I say, look, I'm not trying to win a Pulitzer Prize. I'm just trying to sell some books. Next question I want to ask you.
Michael, let me just go back. I want to go back to a question you asked about traditional marketing. Yeah. Like right now, Don King is trending right now because he's going to go on the road with Trump.
Right.
So I'm just going to go to Twitter right now and just say Don King is a fan of be obsessed or be average.
Yep.
Okay. So I'm grabbing trends in the moment. Now, to play this game, this is a 24/7 game, 365, dude. You guys got to be obsessed. That's why I'm telling you. Be obsessed or be average is my life story. It's how I went from the middle to the bottom and crawled back out again and blew out of the top. And I'm still looking to go to stratospheric places, right? So, but you got to be all in to do this game. And this is what the book's about. You have to figure out how to embrace the addict, the junkie, okay, the neurotic, the fanatic, the ADD, the OCD, the compulsive disorders that supposedly, you might have. I've never met a great entrepreneur that wasn't a junkie at heart, wasn't an addict, a pure, street addict.
Yeah, no,
somewhere.
I agree. It's interesting what you said. One of the things that I love about having this podcast is having guys like you on, because for me, I know that you can charge tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands of dollars to hire Grant Cardone. By the way, if you want to hire Grant Cardone, you can go to grantcardone.com or his company, and he can show you how to sell like beyond you've ever even imagined. But what the interesting thing that you said, I've always been a believer in not watching the news because of the negativity out there. And it was interesting. Last night, my brother sent me a text in the at like 10:30 last night, and Von Miller, the MVP of the Super Bowl last year, they were asking him a question about one of the guys that got hurt, and they said, you know, what are you going to do now? And he said, we're just going to be 5% better. And that's the title of my book. I went bananas. I went crazy over it. And what you're just saying right now is it makes a lot of sense. And for me, you know what? I think I'm going to change the way I do things and maybe pay a little bit more attention to the news because I think what you're saying makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and the reason to pay attention to the news is only to use it.
Right.
I just want to use it. I don't want to be used by it.
Right.
You know, people got to make a decision. Dude, you only have two choices. You're going to either be all in or you're going to be average. There's nothing in between. Anybody that thinks the only people that think there's an in between are the people that have settled for the in between.
Right.
They're trying to make sense. They're trying to make sense of what they did rather than what they can do. So, like, there is no middle class. Okay, you're either my 6-year-old says, "Papa, what is the middle class?" I said, "Baby, what do you think it is?" She's like, "I think it's rich people that are really poor." And I said, exactly. Okay, there's really only poor people or really wealthy people, okay? No offense, but that's the truth. And that's why sometimes people grate on my message. They're like, I don't like Grant because it's just a little too abrasive. I'm just telling you the truth.
Right.
The only people that are going to tell you there's a middle class are politicians and economics. So you're either a spectator or you're a player. You're either watching the news or making the news, okay? There is nothing in between.
Yeah, no.
You're either on the field playing Sunday or you're in the seats. And you're in the seats watching the game either from your house or from the cold aluminum seats in Chicago. But so be on the field, man, because being on the field is the safest place to be when things go bad.
Today's episode is brought to you in part by Arthro-D, America's top-selling all-natural joint health supplement. Arthro-D's proprietary formula is like no other on the market, and with millions of bottles sold, it is helping people get out of pain and get back to living. If you suffer with joint pain or arthritis and you've tried other products, give Arthro-D a shot and try it risk-free. Visit www.arthro-d.com/Alden for a special discount. That's www.arthro-d.com/Alden. Next question I want to ask you, Grant, and especially someone like you. Again, the title of your book is, be obsessed or be average. We talked about addicts a second ago. We talked about, just going all in and just constantly being 24/7. How do you handle stress outside of everything you're doing? Because again, you said you're 24/7. What do you do? And we talked about decompressing earlier, but what do you do to handle stress?
I don't use drugs and alcohol to handle it.
Right.
I use it. I use stress. I love it. I use it. I use conflict. I use problems. I use challenges. Like everybody's trying to, I got 99 problems. Use them all, man.
Right.
Use them all to solve the problems. The problems are the opportunity. All problems. If you look at the Elon Musk, the Warren Buffetts, look what Warren Buffett did with Goldman Sachs in 2008. He used the problem to benefit himself and his investors. Elon Musk says, hey, cars really haven't changed in a long time. Somebody's going to do it with planes. Somebody's going to go to space. Somebody did it with taxis. How many people complained about cabs? They're late. They don't know where they're going. So some guy's like, you know what? There's 1 billion people had this complaint 1 billion different times, or probably 50 billion times. I'm going to solve the problem. So I use what you call stress. I am happiest when I am productive. I am least happiest when I am most unproductive. I am most stressful when I'm bored.
Right.
So I went on a vacation. First vacation in 12 years, we went to St. Bart's for 2 weeks. We brought executives down there, customers down there, friends down there. Every 3 days, we had somebody new coming in. My wife didn't ask me to make it a vacation only. I would never do that, okay? Dude, I never, ever make anything I'm going to turn off. I don't turn off. I turn on.
I love it.
And then I try to figure out, how do I turn it up to the next level? I'm not worried about burning the candle at both ends. I'm not a candle. I am a spiritual being capable of 1,000 times more than any computer, any electricity. I believe that human beings are basically spiritual beings trapped in a body that are capable of enormous, tremendous, phenomenal amounts of activity.
Let me ask you this, too. I have another question that's part of the 10, but I just want to ask you this as you're talking. By the way, I can see you on the screen, and I'm listening to you. I've read your books. We've talked before. Where do you find that inner drive? Because I think a lot of people just don't have either they don't know how to find it, or they just feel like they're never going to get it. Like, where does it come from?
Well, where did it go? The better question is, where did it go?
Right.
See what happened? Because, like, if you get around any newborn child, okay, you're going to see energy, unless the kid's sick.
Right.
Okay, the kid's either awake trying to get something to eat, or the kid's sleeping. I'm talking about a newborn.
Sure.
It's one of the two. There's nothing in between. It's either like, I want to learn. I'm eating. I'm eating intelligence. I'm eating information. I'm eating walls, floors, boogers, whatever, toes. I'm consuming. I'm discovering intelligence, right? That's what a newborn does. Or they're sleeping.
Sure.
Unless they're sick. Now, if you take that newborn that's, let's say, 8 days or 8 months old, and then you add 20 or 30 years, all of a sudden you're going to see a kid or an adult that is less active at 28 than they were at 8 months. And I know people. I was dead at 21 years old. I was a dead man at 21 years. I was a dead person at 21. No purpose, no direction. I'm using drugs every day. I was better off when I was 8. I was in better physical condition at the age of 8. I was in better financial condition at the age of 8. I was in better spiritual condition at the age of 8 than I was at 21. I went backwards, man. And the question is, what happened to me? What happened to people? What happened to people that they lose this enthusiasm for life, this interest in discovery, this obsession? Well, what happens is the parents say, and the teachers, and the educational system, and society says, man, you got a problem, man. Your kid's got a problem. Your kid's got ADD, ADHD, OCD, COD, whatever. Man, I ain't got a problem, man. You show me a genius that wasn't obsessed. Tell me Jesus wasn't all in.
Right.
Alexander the Great. 16 years old, man, he's conquering the planet. Okay? Tell me both these guys weren't control freaks. But if you're a control freak, whatever that means, okay, tell me Elon Musk is not a control freak, or Steve Jobs wasn't a control freak, or Henry Ford. Henry Ford says, look, what they wanted was a faster horse. Okay? Right. They thought he was crazy, man, when he said, hey, I'm going to build a car with engines and combustion and gasoline and the car could explode, right? So look, like, you got to be willing to be crazy and go find what happened to you that turned you into a zombie, that turned you into something less than you actually are.
That's a great point too. I've talked to some people, and I've talked about this in some of the things I've written about. Is that I look at children, kind of what you're talking about, and they're always happy. They're always excited, and they're excited about the simplest things. And I try to learn from my daughter and from the little ones who, they get excited about the simplest things in life. And I try and learn from that and say, man, just kind of what you said. I love that. I wrote it down. Where did the energy go? Not where is it?
Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense. So I think we can learn a lot from it. But the other part I wanted to just highlight on is that for those parents that are listening right there, I think where it goes has a lot to do with how kids are brought up, right?
Dude, look, my mom's job was to make sure I was safe.
Right.
Okay. My dad's job was to make sure I was safe. My older sister and my older brother, their job was to make sure I didn't hurt myself.
Right.
So your parents can't teach you how to explode into the stratosphere. It's impossible. They're mothers and fathers. So my dad died when he was 52. My older brother died when he was 25.
Wow.
So what is my mom thinking?
Yeah, she's worried. She's just worried.
Every time I leave the house, man. Every time I leave the house. Oh, my God, am I going to lose another son? Her job was to protect me. My job was to explode, right? My job was to be dangerous. My job was to experience life. So, you got to give kids permission, man, to be obsessed, to be all in, to be fanatics, right? But you can't do that if you're looking at a phone all day and playing games, because you're a spectator.
Sure.
You're being turned into a spectator. So you got to play the game, and you got to let your kids be all in. You can't worry about your kids being a junkie or an addict. Like it could happen.
Right.
But you got to be willing to. What you don't want to do, we talk about heroin addiction in this country. We talk about, I think there's 10 million kids last year were put on Ritalin. We talk about all the problems kids have. What about all the average kids that get overlooked?
Right.
That are just they're dead at 20 and it's not official till they're 80.
Yeah, no, I think it's something. And for me as a parent, and again, I know you have two little ones, and every day it's funny. I could just imagine, like you said, I just imagine what your kids know in business. But my daughter, I just love when she'll feed something back to me that she heard me say. She'll say, I remember one time she said to me, she goes, "Hey, Daddy, that guy you were just talking to, so you're going to buy something from him for less, and then you're going to sell it to somebody else for more?"
Yeah, well, they see everything, man.
Yeah, it's awesome.
They see everything. That's why, like in my house, you'll never hear these two words, be careful.
Yeah.
So we had a new nanny come in, and for a weekend, my wife and I were going to go to the movie or something, and the nanny immediately said, in the first 10 minutes, she wasn't even there 10 minutes, she's like, "Oh, be careful, Sabrina," because Sabrina's trying to impress her, right? "Be careful, Sabrina." And Sabrina looked at her, stopped, and says, "That's ridiculous. We're dangerous here. We're not careful."
I love it. Well, so again, we are on with Grant Cardone. He's a New York Times bestselling author. He's a real estate mogul. The guy has his own jet. He's playing at a level that I've said this before that I'm looking to get to. I look up to this guy. In fact, Grant, I'm wearing a watch that I saw only that he had. I couldn't even pronounce it, and it is pronounced a Hublot.
Hublot.
And I bought it for my 40th birthday party for my 40th birthday because Grant Cardone had one, so I wanted to have one. So he's the author of the book.
Dude, awesome! Congratulations, by the way.
By the way, it's not gold; it's titanium, so it's a little, but it's still good.
That's great.
The title is "Be Obsessed" or "Be Average." You can order it on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million. It's available on Hudson News. It's already a #1 bestseller. It hasn't even been released yet, and there's a reason for that in it. And it's not even really necessarily about the marketing. For me, I think a lot of it has to do with who this guy is and some of the other publications that he's written, because he's changing people's lives. So if you want more information about Grant Cardone, you just go to grantcardone.com. You can just Google Grant Cardone. Grant, this is a kind of a fill-in-the-blank question. I know you didn't get the questions, but I think you can figure it out. If my company lacks blank, then we will not succeed.
Sales.
Yeah, makes sense.
Sales. Revenue, baby. New sales, by the way, not just sales, but new sales. Maybe even 10x sales.
Yeah, no, I think that makes a lot of sense, and I love asking that question because I've heard people say vision. I heard people say capital. It's kind of almost what you said. Kevin Harrington said capital. Yeah,
but you know what? Here, you guys that don't have capital, businesses do not fail because they run out of money. Businesses fail because they run out of new revenue and new customers, sales.
Sure. Yeah, no, I think that makes a lot of sense. Grant, again, you've spent a lot of time. We have a few more questions left, and so I know I don't want to take up too much more of your time, but what advice, other than what you've already given, which, by the way, has been amazing, I'd love having guys like you on, because if you could see my notes, I'm feverishly taking notes myself. What advice would you give young people in their workforce today on how to grow?
Dude, think big, think like giants. Don't think like little people. Google, the great company Google, they use the 10X rule. They use my last book on how to pick new investments. They're not looking for incremental growth. They're looking for explosions. They're looking for explosive, big, giant pops. They're looking for leaps. So I would just tell the young guys and gals out there, start looking every day for the big play.
Sure.
Be willing to make the little play. Be willing to do the stuff you don't like. Be willing to do, if you want to guarantee that you're great, learn to be great at the things you hate. And I guarantee you, if you can understand that concept, get great at the things you hate and get great at the things that other people hate doing, and I guarantee you greatness.
Get great at the things you hate. I like that. You should trademark that.
Yeah. Now I hear a bunch of people online say, "Look, I don't do anything I don't like to do." And I'm like, "Well, that's good for you, bro, but you know what? That's just not. Maybe you forgot what your mom and dad did, your grandfathers did, or maybe your daddy gave you a business or something, but I guarantee you somewhere along the line, to get anything going, you will have to do the things you don't like to do.
Yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense. Put yourself. I mean, a lot of times I put myself in situations I don't want to be in, and I always try and learn from that. In fact, I did stand-up comedy for 3 years because I knew that it would make me a better speaker.
Yeah.
One of the I think when I saw you down in Miami, I might have got on stage somewhere. Can you efficiency, I have a lot of young people that work for me, and they're always busy, but when sometimes you look at it, you realize they're not that efficient. Can you give me, and you're a busy guy, you have multiple businesses, you have what, 5,000 units, I think, all over the country, you're running a sales company, you're an author, you're a father, you're a husband, and you're doing all these things. Can you give me a secret strategy or technique that allows you to become more efficient?
Yeah, we graph everything, okay? Almost everything that we have. And I mean, every day I'm like, what else can we graph? So I'm looking for, when I move from one department or one business to the other, I'm like, hey, what are we doing? What are we doing that was better than yesterday? So we're looking at graphs. I'm looking at literally pictures. How many books did we sell yesterday? Good. I need to do one more today. Okay. So right. I don't look at activity. I'm not just looking at how much I work. I'm looking at what happened. Follow the money. Follow the results. Did I advance the ball? Do it like the NFL or the NBA, man. They don't do it on effort. Dude, did you show up for the game? Did you play? How many sick days? Do you get hurt? They don't feel sorry for you. You got hurt? You're not worth anything to us.
Right.
So like, follow the money, man.
I think you said, and I don't know if it was in this book, but I think you said numbers don't lie, people do. Was that
That's
yours?
right.
That's right. Did you say that?
Numbers don't lie, people do.
Did you say that in Be Obsessed? I think you did. Yeah, because I was looking at it last night.
Yeah.
So again,
Yeah.
I have one last question for you. We are on with Grant Cardone. He's a New York Times best-selling author. He's an entrepreneur. He's really playing at a level that, again, most people can't even fathom. We're just talking about he's got his own jet. I mean, the guy's not only is he there today, where he is today, but he didn't just get there. So he's been grinding it out for a long time. He's done a lot of great things. He talks about mistakes he's made. He talks about the things he's done that has allowed him to become successful. His latest book is available everywhere. It's Be Obsessed or Be Average. You can find it on Amazon. Again, you can find it at Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, Hudson News. It's literally available everywhere. It's available.
Target, I think Target's got it, right? GrantCardone.com's got it.
It's literally everywhere. So again, pre-order his book today. It's a #1 bestseller already, and it hasn't even been released yet. Grant, again, I want to thank you for spending the time with us. First of all, it's amazing, and again, for me, I love this because for me, it's like going back to school again. If you could leave our viewers and listeners with one piece of business advice, other than what you've already given, some other secret, something that only Grant Cardone does, and maybe some people have never even heard of it, what would that be?
Dude, this is what I would tell you, okay? I'll give you a perfect example. I'm going to tell you a little story right here. Last week, I sold a piece of property. You mentioned I own a bunch of apartments. I sold a piece of property that I bought 4 years ago. I made my net check on the deal was $9 million, okay? $9,150,000 and some extra dollars, okay? So I'm not bragging about that. I'm just going to tell you, the guy that sold the property made $100,000. Okay, the real estate agent made $100,000. I made $9,150,000. He took off for a week, and I was at work the next day. So whatever you can take away from that. Also, any of you that pre-order Be Obsessed or Be Average, like if you want to find that kind of obsession, when you order the book, okay, when you pre-order the book, if you send me your receipt to obsessed@grantcardone.com, I'm going to make you part of a 13-week mastermind group that I'm going to lead. And I'm going to make sure this book is not just read by you. This is not going to be a book that you bought and then didn't finish. This is a book that we are going to read together. And I'm going to make sure this thing becomes obsessive. This obsession, your obsession becomes not just something part of your life, but I want to make this a cultural thing for the next decades to come.
Grant, that's a great bonus. So again, if you want more information about Grant Cardone, if you want to take advantage of this 13-week, it's free, right?
I'm giving it to you for free. Now, if you called me and said, "Hey, I want a private coaching for 13 weeks," that would be $130,000. So
that's amazing. So you just go to grantcardone.com, right? They can find it from there, right? Can they
go to grantcardone.com, or just send me your receipt to obsessed@grantcardone.com that you bought the book. It's got to be the hard book.
Yep.
Not the audio, not the e-reader. I need it to be the hard book, and I'll make you part of this mastermind.
Fabulous. So we've been on with Grant Cardone. He's a New York Times best-selling author. He's an entrepreneur. He's a business person that, again, is playing at levels that most people can't even begin to even understand. But again, he's done it over time. He's continuing to do it. I love that last story that he just shared with us. He sold the property. He netted $9 million. The guy that sold it for him netted $100,000. That guy on the $100,000 went on vacation, and Grant was in the office the next day. So again, like what Grant said, take from that what you want. Again, his latest book, Be Obsessed or Be Average, it's available everywhere for pre-order. And if you pre-order the book, he's going to, and send him the receipt, again, the hard copy of the book, he's going to enroll you in his 13-week course absolutely free. You just heard him say that if you want to talk to him one-on-one, he charges over $100,000, folks. So all you have to do is spend a little bit of money and get a lot more from Grant Cardone. Grant, I want to thank you for being my guest. It's awesome. By the way, I love your set. It looks amazing.
Oh, thanks, Michael. Dude, you're awesome, dude. You do a great interview, by the way. You should do this for a living, man.
Again, my name is Michael Alden. We are here at the Alden Report. We're here in Blue Vase Studios. Another great edition. Grant, again, thank you so much. Pick up his book, Be Obsessed or Be Average. Don't be average. Awesome.
Hey, thanks, Michael.
Today's episode is brought to you in part by Arthro-D, America's top-selling all-natural joint health supplement. Arthro-D's proprietary formula is like no other on the market, and with millions of bottles sold, it is helping people get out of pain and get back to living. If you suffer with joint pain or arthritis and you've tried other products, give Arthro-D a shot and try it risk-free. Visit www.arthrodcom/Alden for a special discount. That's www.arthrodcom/Alden.